Imagine the quiet hum of a rainy Tuesday evening in Bend, Oregon. The kind where the world feels wrapped in gray. And you're grading papers in your modest apartment, the only light from a desk lamp casting long shadows across the room. That's when the phone rings, shattering everything. My name is Emily Thompson. And at 34, I'd built a life as a social worker at Cascade Community Services, helping families navigate crises that tore at the heart: abuse, addiction, loss. It was exhausting work, paying just enough to cover my beat-up Subaru and the rent on my one-bedroom walk-up. But it felt real, grounded in the messiness of human lives. I'd learned early that family wasn't always the haven it promised to be. My parents, Robert and Diane Harris, had climbed their way to success in Seattle's cutthroat real estate world, flipping properties and building a portfolio of luxury rentals that screamed status. Dad measured love in square footage and ROI, while Mom collected social media followers like trophies, turning every dinner into a photo op for her empire-building Instagram. They lived in a glass-walled mansion overlooking Lake Washington, drove his Aunt Hers Teslas, and never understood why their daughter chose to slum it with troubled kids instead of joining the family business. But my real anchors were my paternal grandparents, Eleanor and Victor Harris, who'd raised my father in a cozy bungalow in Tacoma. They'd started Harris Freight with one semi-truck and sheer grit, turning it into a Northwest shipping powerhouse before selling it off quietly. Unlike my parents' flashy life, theirs was simple: Eleanor with her herb garden and endless knitting projects, Victor with his toolbox and stories of the open road. Every weekend growing up, while my parents networked at galas, my grandparents would scoop me up for exploration days, beachcombing at Puget Sound, hiking in the Olympics, or just tinkering in Victor's garage. Life's not about the haul, kiddo, Victor would say, grease on his hands as he fixed my bike. It's about who you're hauling for, Eleanor would chime in, her eyes twinkling. And what you leave behind: kindness, not clutter. They embodied that, funding local shelters anonymously, driving the same Chevy for decades, never flashing their quiet wealth. When I chose social work, my parents scoffed at the poverty salary, but my grandparents beamed, saying I'd picked the fight that mattered most: mending broken souls. The divide grew sharper with time. Holidays at my parents' were staged productions, all crystal stemware and talk of market trends, while weekends at my grandparents' were warm chaos: Eleanor's homemade stew, Victor's bad jokes, real conversations about my clients' struggles. They remembered every story I shared, celebrated when I helped a family reunite, held me when cases fell apart. My parents offered to upgrade my life with a condo in their portfolio if I'd just network properly, but it was Eleanor who slipped me grocery money disguised as payment for helping sort her attic. I watched my family's ties to them fray into transactions, Dad pushing for loans to expand his flips, Mom hinting at inheriting the Tacoma house for a vacation rental, Uncle Martin and his wife Clara demanding seed money for their failing tech startup, Cousin Derek always angling for tuition bailouts. My grandparents deflected with grace, but the strain showed in their eyes. The last porch talk with Eleanor, a month before the crash, lingers like a scar. We watched ferries cut across the sound as she patted my hand. Victor and I aren't eternal, Emily. When we're gone, remember, true family sees your heart, not your wallet. Hold on to that. I brushed it off, but her words echoed when the state trooper called that fateful Tuesday. A semi-truck sideswiped their Chevy on I-5, gone in a blink. The only unconditional love I'd known vanished, leaving a void that screamed. The funeral was a facade of black suits and murmured sympathies. My parents played gracious hosts at the reception, Mom already whispering about efficient estate handling. I barely held it together. excusing myself to retch in the bathroom. 4 days later, at the attorney's office in Tacoma, the reading unpacked the nightmare. Arthur Klein, their lawyer of 25 years, faced a room of eager relatives, my parents, Uncle Martin with Clara and Derek, even distant cousins sniffing opportunity. He cued a video, Eleanor and Victor at their kitchen table, looking vital. "If you're seeing this," Eleanor started, voice firm, "we're gone. We've pondered our legacy deeply." Victor detailed selling Harris Freight for $28 million. The room gasping. "We lived by basics, hard work, fairness, love overload." But then the hammer. They documented years of greed, texts begging for cash, emails guilting them, calls threatening isolation. "Our estate goes wholly to Emily Thompson," Victor declared. "The one who loved us without strings, visited for us, not our bank." Chaos erupted. "This is madness," Mom shrieked. "I'm his son." Dad's face twisted. Uncle Martin accused manipulation. I sat stunned, tears flowing. "I never knew. I just loved them." Derek sneered. "Sure." The bleeding heart social worker played innocent. Arthur resumed the video. "Emily knew nothing of our wealth. Any contest triggers our defense fund. Every dirty secret goes public." The room iced over. Dad stared through me. $28 million to a do-gooder scraping by on welfare wages. Mom demanded a family summit at their mansion tomorrow. Arthur handed me a private envelope, "For your eyes only. Be wary." The summit was an ambush. Cars jamming the drive like a siege. Inside, they circled like wolves. "We're fixing this misallocation," Dad opened, voice like steel. Elderly minds falter, sign over power of attorney. Mom smoothed. "You're overwhelmed, dear. We'll manage fairly an allowance for you." Uncle Martin added, "Derek's startup debts, our expansions, it's family equity." "And their wishes?" I challenged, voice cracking. Clara snapped, "You wormed in, playing savior while we built empires." The accusations flew. I isolated them, preyed on loneliness. "Last visit? You pitched your flip scheme," I fired back. Derek skipped holidays and less cash flowed. Tension snapped. Dad threatened, "Your apartment? Our subsidiary owns it. Job? Board chair golfs with me. Car? Insurance through us." Mom slapped me when I accused greed. 48 hours. Sign or we ruin you contests. Smears. Everything. They offered a fair split, me keeping $2 million. Them carving the rest. Derek blurted, "They're dead, who cares?" I fled. Phone exploding, eviction notice. Boss summoning, concern meeting. Betrayal burned deep. A psychological gut punch. Silence from years of overlooked love turning to rage. I sought refuge at their bungalow. Ghosts everywhere, Eleanor's yarn basket, Victor's half-read newspaper, collapsing on the couch. Sobs racked me until Arthur called, "Pack, don't return home." Eleanor foresaw this. In his office, tea studying me, he revealed layers, a secret trust with a guest house on subdivided land. $600,000 untouchable. They tracked your family's webs, Dad's shell companies owning your building. More, a network, Maria Gonzalez. Ex-security for Harris Freight. Posing as housekeeper, Lydia Chin. Accountant shielding assets, retired Judge Harlan Brooks. Victor's poker buddy, PI Nathan Ruiz. Documenting manipulations. Your integrity was their treasure, Lydia said as we convened at the house. Nathan's files, photos of Mom pocketing heirlooms at the funeral. Dad pressuring officials. Emails plotting smears. The guest house welcomed me cozy. Stalked. A letter from Eleanor, if here. Our fears realized. You're our legacy strong. Loving. Desk drawer, allies we've helped. Stand tall. Texts escalated, insurance canceled. Job suspended. But surrounded by their foresight, despair shifted to resolve. Call the team, I told Maria. War's on. The library became command central. Nathan's screens flashing evidence, funeral thefts, larceny. Dad's tax dodges, fraud. Uncle Martin's investor lies, securities violations. Lydia, Dad's flips are underwater, needs cash bad. Martin's startup's a scam. Derek's flunked law school. Hiding debts. Maria unearthed mementos, my childhood cards. Notes proving I refused aid. Mom's smear emails arrived. Compile it, I ordered. Pain fueling fire. Harlan, they filed injunction, undue influence. Hearing tomorrow. Nathan's alert, cops en route, trespass claim on guest house. Maria handled them with deeds. Dad's text, last chance. Calm descended. No. Court it is, with everything. Courtroom tension crackled. My family packing benches like a mob. Our side sparse but solid, plus unexpected allies, shelter directors Victor funded. Families Eleanor aided. Judge Elena Vasquez. Eleanor's old volunteer pal, unbeknownst to them. Presided. Their lawyers spun me as predator, isolated elders. Feigned poverty. I countered with video, Victor and Eleanor debunking. Listing greeds, Mom's failed ventures. Martin schemes. Derek's pleas. Footage rolled. Funeral pilfering. Logs, my visits versus. Theirs, transactional. Witnesses testified love's authenticity. Dad interrupted, we're blood. Vasquez silenced him. Final blow, old petition for incompetency greed-driven. Mom erupted, theft. Escorted out. Vasquez ruled, no injunction. Refer thefts to DA. Gavel down, justices bung no. My family's masks shattered. 3 days later. Dad texted, meeting. Alone or consequences. Team advised caution. But I went prepared. Parked curbside. Agents watching. Inside. Desperation reeked, Dad haggard. Mom trembling. Appeal drags years, Uncle Martin threatened. Derek, debts to bad people. 10 million to us, Dad demanded. I revealed, stream to feds, fraud. Extortion. Dropped bombs, Dad's arson insurance scam. Martin's Ponzi. Mom's charity skim. Derek's forgery. Grandparents built cases, protective. Not punitive. Sirens wailed. Deal, sign no contact. Relinquish claims. I withhold old crimes, face only recent. Eleanor's letter predicted, stand firm, they threaten what they misunderstand. Arrests followed, theft. Extortion. Mom's glare, not our blood. I was always theirs, I whispered. 6 months on. Probation and fines humbled them, no contact bliss. Harris Foundation thrives, aiding social services. Scholarships. Family rehabs. Back at work. Kids' hugs heal. Guesthouse sanctuary. Maria's dinners echo weekends past. Final letter confessed, we forced revelations to show your strength. No regrets, freed from toxicity. I build with love's tools. Late nights. Their presence whispers, integrity's the true fortune. Revenge in living true.